What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Daily. I apologize, everybody, but we're back an hour earlier today than normal, but we're still doing the show, so at least we're getting the show done today. Hey, we've got a lot to talk about. You know, if you tune into our Sunday shows, we do the Saturday recap before anything else. Why? Because college football is awesome, and that is all we want to talk about for the most part on Sunday mornings. Let's get it, Papa Dude. We saw an incredible opening game, and they just kept coming. Michigan, Ohio State lived up to the billing, a great game. It wasn't the only one all day long. Great games. Big takeaways, Papa Dude. What do you think of Saturday?
You know, a lot of times you and I miss this game, this day, rivalry day, because we're on the road or OU's playing that day. And so this year they played on a Friday and we got to stay home and watch rivalry day. And it was, listen, if you call yourself a football fan and you don't like college football, you're not a football fan. You're not, because awesome. if all you are is NFL and you got to watch that shit today compared to what we watched yesterday, you're not a football fan.
It was awesome.
That was an incredible day of football, and like you say,
it was awesome.
Michigan and Ohio State did not let anyone down.
Yep.
And I saw the early projections this morning of what the playoff situation is going to look like, how they're going to be ranked. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. They've moved Ohio State all the way down to like 7.
Yeah.
How? How?
Well, I still think there's a scenario where they can get in, but they need a ton of help. But that game being as close as it was and as good as it was gives them a little bit of hope. But yeah,
it's just the way it is, though. They've said forever, lose your games. If you're going to lose a game, lose it early.
Yep.
There's no difference when you lose your game, when you lose to a Michigan team that might be the best team in the country. And you take them to the limit.
Let's go to that next. Michigan. Let's talk about them for a second.
Yeah.
Because people were texting me after the game saying, what do you think? Can they do, like, can they win the whole thing? And I said, yeah, I think they can. I'm not saying they will, but is Michigan? I mean, they're definitely the second best team in the country, right?
I'm not sure they're not the best.
Okay.
I had not seen them much. You watched them a lot last week. I didn't.
Yeah.
You commented on the show that you thought McCarthy was better than I was giving him credit for. I would have to totally agree. Their offense is better than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if they bring it, and why wouldn't they? They could win it all. They made a believer out of me. Because I thought Ohio State played pretty good. They kept coming at them. You know, they just wouldn't let them pull away from them. I thought Ohio State played well. That was a great game. They're right there with Georgia in my book.
I think Michigan is right there with Georgia. Yeah, I really, really hope it's Michigan and it's Georgia. I think that would just be a classic game. I would be very excited to watch that one for sure. Look, I think for Ohio State, and trust me, I get it. I root for a big-time football school as well. There are no moral victories at all.
No.
But I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you look at it and look at the last 2 years where Michigan kind of dominated you. You look at this year and you're like, no, they have made a lot of strides. And honestly, they had a big chance to win the game. Papa Dude, when they were driving, I had flashbacks of OU Texas, where Ohio State, just like that, was right down the field. And I thought, we're going to see Ohio State come back and win in an unbelievable fashion. And then, of course, the interception happens. But, man, I thought that was such a good game. And I think Ohio State is much better this year than they were the last 2 years. I'll go ahead and say it, because I think the last 2 years, it was a C.J. Stroud show and nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, he had weapons. Let me go back. It was the offensive show and nothing else.
Yeah.
I think they're better at other places this year.
They've transformed the way they play, and not quite as good at quarterbacks. Kid's young, probably not as talented as Stroud, obviously. And, you know, I was on Twitter a lot yesterday, just reading this stupidity, and people after Ryan Day.
Yeah.
He's lost to Michigan 3 years in a row. It's just ignorant. It's just, you know, I have more respect for Ryan Day today than I did last year. I was all over him too last year. But they have transformed that team to where now they're smash mouth tough, where they used to be soft. And they just didn't quite have enough to beat what I consider a tremendous Michigan team on their home field.
Yep.
Playing at a high level. You know, Michigan played very well. So
Absolutely. I think Ohio State is one of the top 4 teams. I just
Oh,
don't
I do too. No doubt.
but and this is why expanding to 12 will solve a lot of problems, honestly, because let's pretend Ohio State's like 6 once this thing ends. They would be a dangerous team. They would have
might win it.
have a chance. I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to play them.
It's a shame because somebody's going to get left out, just like every year. That should be in there. People go, well, that's good. We got all this talk about college football. No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Well, you're going to have 3 times to talk about college football when a 6 is playing an 11 in the first round of the tournament. So, I mean,
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Other games, obviously the Iron Bowl. That game has given us the most classic moments. You think back to the kick 6, which was one of the most greatest moments ever in the history of college football. This yesterday, 4th and goal from the 31-yard line for Alabama, down 24-20. Wife and I are watching it, and Heather's like, I can't believe it. Auburn's going to beat them, and boom, 31-yard touchdown pass on 4th and goal. We were just stunned when that happened.
Yeah.
And again, Auburn loses 31-10 to New Mexico State on their home field a week ago and has Alabama beat again and couldn't get it done, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think how am I going to put this? We always say in a rivalry game, throw out the records.
Yeah.
There are 2 big rivalries that I think that is so true in. OU and Texas is one of them.
Yep.
It doesn't matter in that game.
Yep.
This is the other one.
Yep.
The Michigan-Ohio State, that's a fantastic rivalry. You don't see these kind of goofy things happen that happen in these 2 games.
Yeah.
Like OU beat Texas this year. There's no way they should have.
No.
But the games are just so strange. This one, I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for Alabama to put them away.
Yep.
And you can argue Auburn kicked their ass.
They did. They did.
Kicked their ass.
Auburn should have beat them just like they should have beat them 2 years ago. They didn't.
Exactly.
But they played toe to toe, and that's the point we're trying to make.
Yeah.
Auburn neither year was very good.
No. Yep. They lost by 21 points the week before.
Yep.
And I don't want to show any disrespect to New Mexico State. They're 9-3.
Well, they're 10-3. They're 10-3.
Are they 10? That's right, because they had the extra game.
Yep.
And they're playing for the championship of their conference.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, an SEC team of Auburn stature should beat them.
Yep.
And they lose by 21 on their home field and then have to come back against one of the hottest teams in college football.
Yep.
And kick their ass. And had they not fumbled that punt, I think they would have beat them.
It's hard to say for sure because they have found ways to lose.
That's true, and they found the way to lose this time.
But it felt like Auburn was if you didn't know anything, if you just give me, I'm going to watch this Auburn-Alabama game, I don't know anything about them, you would think Auburn was the better team.
Oh, no question. The way they played yesterday.
Yeah. It's crazy.
They ran the ball on Alabama. Yep. I mean, Alabama did not, they weren't ready to play.
Yep.
I think they thought, oh, this is going to be easy. And it's hard when you come into games like that, rivalry like that, and the team you're playing is coming off a terrible loss. You're rolling. You're playing great. And it's really hard to respect them. And they didn't. And, Sandy and I were sitting there watching. It's like Heather and you were. And Sandy made the comment, why didn't Auburn rush a little bit more than they did? Because when you allow a guy just to stand back there, no pressure whatsoever, eventually somebody's going to come open, even though they shouldn't. You got him outnumbered 2-1 in the end zone.
Yeah.
And he was too wide open. There's no doubt. He was too open, but the kid made a beautiful throw too.
Yeah, I heard Venables talk about those kind of situations, like the Hail Mary against Texas. He brought a little pressure. He said, it's always good to bring a little bit, and he said, you got to eventually, you got to get to them and you got to make them rush it just a little bit more than they should have. And so you're right about that.
If you got somebody coming at him, he doesn't make a perfect throw.
Yeah. And that's just it. you don't blitz, but you bring in, if you usually bring 3, you bring 4. If you usually bring 4, you bring 5,
Yeah.
just get a little bit of pressure because, and I heard Venables again talking about it, hey, he's talking about if you're 30 yards or further back, it's like, hey, they've got to run a long pattern to get there. Right. So if you get to him, he may not even get to throw it in time, so yeah.
It was a miracle. It took a miracle.
Yeah.
And it was a great game. It was.
Yep. Great game. Unfortunately for Dennis, Kentucky goes in and beats Louisville. So that's sorry, Dennis, but that
one.
That was a great game, though.
It was a tremendous game, and Kentucky played fabulous.
Yeah, they did. Louisville didn't,
No,
they really.
Where was that Kentucky offense all year? They looked great moving the ball, didn't they?
They did. Again, another rivalry game.
Game. Washington State. Try to figure that one out.
Washington coach with one of the ballsiest calls. If it does not work, they're wanting to fire that guy today, even though they're 11-1, but it works, and he's a genius. On 4th and 1 from like their own 30, they go for it. It's a 21-21 game. It's like 2 minutes left in the game. They fake the handoff up the middle and run a reverse. The quarterback turns around. He pitches at the wide receiver, and he goes running for 40. They go and kick a field goal and win it. Unbelievable. Yeah. There was one other. Oh, Florida State. Listen, this doesn't have anything to do with the Florida State. The first 11 games, the Florida State that played last night, they're not as good as some of these teams. I'm just going to be honest. It was a gutty win for them to go do it. On the flip side, I don't know how Florida's not firing Napier today. They went 6-7 last year. They're 5-7 this year. They look worse this year. I know if this was Oklahoma, because we went 6-7 last year. If Venables went 5-7 this year, I can't imagine what it would be like. I gotta imagine the Florida people are irate today.
I would say they are. And again, that team we saw yesterday, went toe to toe. I know Florida State was hurt. Now, don't forget, Florida's quarterback situation wasn't good either. So that helped Florida State. I thought it was a gutty win for Florida State.
I agree. Let me back up. I agree. Anytime you go on the road, a backup quarterback rivalry game, and you won, credit Florida State. However, what Mark says is true.
And, even if they beat Louisville, it's not a given they're going to get in. I think they will have to put them in at 13-0. I think they'll have to.
They'll put them in. That's not a thing.
They have to.
That's not a thing. If they are 13-0, they're going. Period.
They have to. You just have to. I don't think Louisville will beat them. I just don't think they will. I mean, they might. You got to think they're better than Florida, but are they? I don't know.
Oh, they're way better than.
You think Louisville is?
Florida. Oh my God. Yes, Florida is.
You think Louisville would go in there and beat Florida?
Yes, 1,000%. Yes, that is a absolute disaster in Florida right now. Yeah, they're better.
Well, if you think they're better than Florida by that much, then you got to think they got a chance to beat Florida State.
I think Louisville can beat Florida State if Louisville thinks they can beat Florida State.
That's the issue.
I don't think they can. I think they'll play a good game. I think they'll make enough mistakes.
So you think they can come back from that loss yesterday?
Yep. I think they'll come back. I think they'll play a really good game. I think they'll get beat in the last minute or two of the game. That's my prediction on that one.
I want to say one more thing too, and see if anybody noticed it besides me. Talking about Washington. I don't know if you guys were watching at the end when Penix was over there with his head in a tent that they're in where they go when they're injured.
Mm-hmm.
And the announcers kept saying, oh, he can't watch. He can't watch. He can't watch. Well, okay, I went along with that for a minute. But after the winning field goal and after the celebration on the field, he's still over there with his head in that tent.
Yeah.
And there's this guy standing right there beside him the whole time.
Yeah, it was weird.
Patting him on the back. And then when he finally got out of there, they put this funny looking hood over his face. And that guy walked with him into the locker room. He's either pulled a Caleb Williams type goofy thing.
Yeah.
or he had a concussion.
Something's weird. And I'm glad you brought it up, because when I was watching it live, I thought he's doing that thing where I can't watch the field goal,
Yeah, I went
which is,
along with it.
yeah. And then after he made it, he never came out and I said, all right, now
why
he's
didn't
just,
you want to watch then?
well, yeah. So after he made it and then he didn't come out, I thought, okay, he's just over there being an asshole, basically. He's showboating it.
Yeah.
I know that's weird to say you're showboating, but
Yeah.
you're making a spectacle of it, right?
Well, you're wondering what the hell's wrong with this guy. Wouldn't he want to celebrate with his teammates?
Exactly. And like, I don't know about this guy, but that's not like him. Okay. So then the farther it goes on and they keep showing him, and this one guy is like his bodyguard is what it looked like.
It's exactly what he was.
And then I thought to myself, yeah, I thought to myself, something's wrong with him. Like,
yeah,
he's hurt or something.
And then he comes out of there. They cover him with this goofy looking. It wasn't even a hoodie. I don't know what it was. It looked like a piece of tarp or something. Put it over his head, and he walks straight down the sideline. Doesn't say anything to anybody. And I thought I'd get up this morning and read somewhere where he has a concussion. But I looked and I didn't read anything. But
I haven't seen
he's
anything.
a weirdo. I don't know.
I don't think that's it. I don't think he's a weirdo. I don't think he was being weird.
Maybe he was sick. He could have been sick.
Something is off with him.
Sandy thought he might be throwing up in that tent.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But look, here's the deal. They play Friday, and if he doesn't play, Oregon is going to kill him. So
I agree. I think they're going to anyway, but
I don't know if there's anything to it, but it's something to keep an eye on.
It's the weirdest thing I ever saw.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Finally, last thing, if you didn't watch it, and many of you may not have, because probably don't care about Iowa State and Kansas State.
Right.
One of the coolest games of the day. It's snowing like crazy in Manhattan, Kansas. The field is just covered in snow. You can barely see the yard lines. And the game ends 42-35 Iowa State. It was an unbelievable game. I couldn't believe it watching that game.
I loved every minute of it. You don't see games nowadays with snow on the field like that. I guess at Kansas State, they didn't have enough equipment to get that. Most places, they get out there with those tractors with a blade and they get it scraped off. All they did was the lines. You could see the yard lines in the middle of the field, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And you hardly ever see a game in the snow where 77 points are scored. It was a fantastic game.
It was so awesome. My buddy Paul, of course, Paul Freebeers from the Fantasy League, huge Iowa State guy, went to Iowa State. We were texting back and forth. We were having so much fun. We just kept saying, like, I thought this would be like 17-14, and it's like, this game is unbelievable.
It didn't bother those guys at all.
No.
And let me ask you this. How in the world can you play in a game like that, especially if you're a lineman, without sleeves?
I don't know.
You have to be freezing. You get hit, you're on the ground. I notice those guys their arms are just soaking wet. They're out there like it's 80 degrees. It was an awesome game.
It was freaking awesome. I loved every second of it.
If I'm in the stands, my number one thought is, because we've been to K-State, we know what it's like there. You park in a cow pasture, like a mile away from the stadium, unless you are a donor or something. Yeah. Unless they've changed it. We haven't been out there in a few years. My thought would be, how are we going to get back to the car, and how are we going to get the hell out of here?
Well, the announcers were talking about how they slid coming to the game, they were driving, and I'm with you. We've been to Manhattan, Kansas. It is in the middle of nowhere.
No.
It's
only one way out of there.
It's a cool place.
Oh, it is.
But there's one way out and one way in.
Can you imagine how long it would have taken to get out of there last night?
It would have been a nightmare leaving Manhattan, Kansas, if you had to last night. Yeah. But if you're sitting at home, fantastic. If you're sitting at home just watching, fantastic.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Well, I guess we should get to the games today. We'll get to them here. Now, we kind of talk about how pro football is not great. I've got 3 games that I am looking forward to. I think they're going to be good ones. We'll start with the Jaguars and the Texans. Very good game here to kick it off. Jaguars are -1.5 on the road against the Texans, total at 47.5. Two young quarterbacks that are solid. All right, Puppy Dude, who you got?
Well, I wanted to make this my best bet of the day, but I can't. Okay, there were 3 games in the NFL today that I wanted to make my best bet, but it involved teams you can't trust. I can't trust them yet. And this is one of them. It's the Texans. They're playing great. Why can't they win today? I don't have any reason why they can't. I think they're as good as Jacksonville. I do. Can't quite trust them yet, so I couldn't pull the trigger. But I will take the Texans to upset the Jaguars today.
I'm with you. I'm going to go the Texans as well to upset the Jags here. Listen, they're playing awfully well. These are 2 teams that are pretty hot. They're both playing really well.
Teams.
Two good young quarterbacks, which is something we don't have a ton of in the NFL. I'm going to keep on that Texans train, man. They got something going right now. Hopefully they get it done. They're kind of a fun team. So I'm with you. We're going upsets in that one. All right, let's go to the Browns and the Broncos. A great season in the midst right now for the Browns. They're 7-3. They might finally have something here in Cleveland. The Broncos, though, they look like the worst team in the league. It has been an amazing turnaround. They're 2-point favorites at home today. Can they keep it rolling?
This was another game that I wanted to make my best bet, but I can't trust the Browns. I think Denver has a rabbit foot in their pocket because they've been lucky to win these last 2 games. I'm not saying they haven't played good because they have, but they've been extremely lucky to do it. Will their luck run out today against a Browns team that I don't think is getting enough credit? They're pretty tough. And I think they're better off without Watson. I don't know why they couldn't go in there and win this. I think if you're looking at something, you might look at the total. I don't see this as being very high scoring at all. This could be like one of those 17-13 type games too. I'm going to take the Browns. I think the luck's going to run out with Denver today.
The luck, the rabbit's foot is there. Broncos beat the Browns.
I'll be rooting for the Broncos.
I kind of like them. I kind of think it's funny. I kind of think it's funny that they're playing good again. I don't know.
Hey, they win this game. They're 6-5. They're in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yep.
They've already played the Chiefs twice. Don't forget that. They don't have to worry about playing them anymore.
Exactly. And they have these last few games have got them back where they have a chance. Now this is a game that could kind of get them where, hey, we could actually do this. So, give me the Broncos. All right, Bills and Eagles to finish it here. Bills have had their struggles for sure. This is a huge game. This will be a get-right game for the Bills in this spot. They take on the Eagles, who had a massive win on Monday night. Will there be a letdown here against a decent Bills team? Eagles are 3-point favorites, total 48.5.
You think that the Eagles are hearing this all week? You can't let down, you can't let down, you can't let down. I think they probably are.
Yes.
They're a mature team. I'm with you. I think I don't know they can get to the level they were at, after a big win last week. Tempted to take the Bills in this one. Another thing is, too, the Eagles are 9-1. The law of averages says they're going to lose. It's hard to keep winning in the NFL. But you got a shaky Bills team that really hasn't shown us a whole lot in big games. So I'm going to stick with the Eagles at home. I think it's good that it's at home.
I've been flip-flopping this one for a while. Michael says he thinks the Eagles are going to win this one. I think the Eagles have heard that all week as well. Gosh, this is so tough. I've been flip-flopping. Part of me thinks the Bills are going to go in there and win it. They need it a lot worse than Philadelphia. They really need this win.
They do.
Give me the Bills. I'll stick with the Bills plus the 3. I'll stick with it.
Right. The Eagles are only 2 games ahead of Dallas, right? In the division. That's not very many because they still got to go to Dallas. Yeah. So that may motivate them enough. They may know we got to keep winning to stay ahead of Dallas. So it's going to be this one will be fun to watch.
I'm going to go over the total 48.5.
Good.
That'll be my bet. Over 48.5.
Why isn't this the Sunday night game?
Yeah, it should be. This is a really good game. Yeah. I don't know. I just can't decide on a.
It's a tough one. Well, when you can't decide, stay away.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's go to the Del Mar coverage because we're going to go Del Mar race 8 for the race of the day. And then Magic and I have 2 Del Mar races for our best bet. So a lot of talk here in San Diego. All right, race of the day is race 8, the Native Diver Stakes. This race sucks, but I put it on here because it's one of the only stakes races we've got. All right, Papa Dude, who do you like in this one?
Well, I'll make this real quick. I don't like any of them. Not a single solitary one. I'm going to go with a horse that I see has all kinds of speed. It's won the last 2 times out. It's got to take a major jump up. I'm going to go with Arrow the Great. 2 straight wins. It's the number 2 horse out of Arrogate. Might be coming on. I don't see that there's anything very good in this race. And then I also like another Arrogate horse, number 7, Mr. Fisk, which is coming off a stakes win. Last time out, try to beat the favorite New Grange. I didn't see much in that one. Kind of like the one, visiting a little bit. And Skinner, old Skinner is in this thing. And, you know, he always gets a lot of respect and he probably deserves it, but he never wins. So give me a upset. Arrow the Great, number 2.
Yeah, Arrow the Great, horse I used as well. I think he's going to run pretty well today. This is not a great race for sure. I like Visitant on top. I think Flavian Pratt getting them out for Peter Miller is a pretty good sign. This horse has kind of done everything under the sun, you know, on synthetic, on the dirt, on the turf, you know, kind of everywhere. I think we're going to see its best here at 1 1/8 on the dirt. You know, you look back way back to the Ali Sheba where he got second, beating 3 1/4 to Maxfield. I know it's been a long time ago, but that just kind of feels like the type of, you know, the type of race this horse needs to be in. So I think he will run well here against a weak group. I like Visitant on top, the number 1. I did like number 7, Mr. Fisk, a little bit, but not a ton. You know, got him in second here. Horse was a dead heat last time out. Tahoe Sunrise came back to win, so that's kind of a good sign. But still, there's just not a lot to get excited about any of these horses. None of them are very good. I don't think this is going to be a great race, but it's a stakes race and it's a Sunday. So I said, we'll throw it on there. So you're going to go with the 2. I'm going to go with the 1 on top. All right, let's get to Magic's best bet. He's going to go Del Mar race number 6. And he's going to go with the number 5, Devil Moon. He likes that Pratt gets aboard in this one. He also likes the drop down in class and the move back to the dirt. You know, 3 races back, ran a starter allowance race over the dirt at Del Mar. 3rd, only beating a length. Now we're dropping down to 20K claiming. He thinks if he brings that race, he's going to get the job done. So he likes the number 5, Devil Moon, in the 6th race today at Del Mar. How about me? I'm going to go race 9 at Del Mar, the last race of the day. I'm going to go number 7, Nation, for my best bet today. This horse debuted last time out at Keeneland on October 25th in a flat mile race on the turf. Ran second, beaten 2 1/4. I thought was a pretty good debut effort from this horse. Really came running late. Flavian Pratt was aboard that day, going to be aboard again today, stretching out to mile 16th. Shouldn't be a problem. Comes to Del Mar, I think this is a little bit of an easier spot than his debut race. I think if he improves much off of that debut effort, he's going to be really tough to beat. So I like the number 7, Nation, in the 9th race at Del Mar. All right, enough for me. Papa Dude, give us yours.
Well, I couldn't find much today. Like I said, I could trust. I really wanted to take the Texans, but they're going to have to win this game today before I can really start getting on the bandwagon. So here's a parlay for you. I'm going to go the Boston Celtics on the money line. You can't make any money betting them on the money line, but try to pair them up with something maybe you can make a little money that makes somewhat sense. The Celtics are playing the Hawks today on a Sunday in the Garden. That's a pretty safe bet that they're going to win. The Hawks don't guard anybody, and I don't like a team that goes into Boston, doesn't play any defense. So I like the Celtics to win the game. And then you got 2 teams that don't score a whole lot anyway, and then the Bengals don't have their quarterback. I think this one's got a real shot to go under 37. So I'm going to go Boston on the money line to beat the Hawks. Steelers, Bengals under 37. For plus 151. Hope we can get this one.
All right. I like the plus money aspect of it for sure. There's no doubt. That'll be fun. What time do the Celtics play? Do you have any idea?
No. I would say, let me think. I think it's in the daytime.
I hope it is. I was going to say, maybe we got a little day action here before these Del Mar races. Let me see. The Celtics. I think
it is.
It seems like yes. No, they play at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So we will be rooting for the Steelers, Bengals, and then we'll have the Celtics to watch at 5 o'clock tonight. So, all right, sounds good.
I doubt if I watch it, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to watch it unless it's on ESPN. Okay, here are the picks here. I'm going to go Del Mar, race 9, number 7, Nation. Magic is going Del Mar, race 6, number 5, Devil Moon. And then Papa Dude going with that parlay, Boston Celtics money line, and then Steelers Bengals under 37 for plus 151. Yesterday, Papa Dude, the only winner, 1-2, minus $100 yesterday. Still up though, 336 for the year. Here's the deal. Here's what happened yesterday, Papa Dude. I got to tell you this. Any horse that I was iffy on, that I had on top, won. And any horse that I was excited about and thought, I'm going to bet this one, or I'm going to play around maybe an exacta, put them in a double, lost. All of my strong opinions lost yesterday. So frustrating.
Well, quickly, I had Minnesota and Wisconsin at 44.5, I think it was. And it was 28-14 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that one's out. And they didn't score a point in the fourth quarter. So I was pretty lucky to hit mine.
Yeah, you were. I thought you were beat for sure.
I did too.
And I would say Magic was unlucky. You know, he had Ohio State plus 3.5, and it's like, that probably was a pretty good bet. For an underdog, they played really well.
Well, that half, remember we talked about it. I thought that half was going to get him in because it was 27-24, and Michigan kicked that field goal.
And if you're watching the game, Michigan had like 3rd and 6. And if they get the first down there, Ohio State's out of timeout. Michigan's taking 2 knees and the game's over.
Yep.
And freaking Ohio State stopped them. So forcing the field goal.
Yeah, that was a tough loss right there.
That sucked. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. And like I said, for me, I had such a good Thursday and Friday of this week. It's sometimes when you get like 6 on top winners, 5 on top winners, that next day it kind of evens out a little bit.
Yep.
I honestly, the Churchill card especially, well, Del Mar as well, but Churchill especially, I was scratching my head most of the day. Like, I don't know how that horse won or where that came from, so just wasn't my day there. And then, and then with Del Mar, kind of like my second pick was winning a lot. So it's just one of those things, man. A horse racing will even out on you.
Oh yeah. That's what happens.
Yep.
It's hard. Right. When you do this every day, it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. Yeah. No, it's funny. We came back from the game Friday and I was like, damn, we did so well at these tracks. And then yesterday it's like, what? But, it was all 2-year-old racing yesterday at Churchill. Sometimes that can get really.
Well, no wonder. Those are the worst.
I know, but still, we usually do better than that. So, actually, honestly, up until the race that Booth lost, it was all right. But the race 9 through 12, that would have been, I think, well, we had the last race, but after that, it was just a nightmare of a mess. So, yeah, but it was crazy. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend. Good luck today. If you're betting anything, racing, football, whatever, and we'll see you right back here next week.